From the Bay Area's local news station, we begin now with breaking news.
The situation, needless to say, is a horrific one.
The chief of police in El Paso, Texas, struggling to hold back tears as he gives an update on the number of people killed when a gunman walked into a Walmart and began shooting. Right now, 20 people are dead and 26 others are injured. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Justine Waldman.
And I'm J.R. Stone. We are now learning more about the gunman in this shooting, who police do have in custody tonight. Police say the suspect is a young man from North Texas. Reporter Tom Miller explains what we know about him.
Reporting in Austin, I'm Tom Miller.
People within the El Paso community jumped into action to help one another out the best they could.
KRON4's Sanaz Tahirnia joins us now live in the studio with a closer look at why blood donation centers are now having to turn people away. Sanaz?
That's right, JR and Justine. You know, in times like this, sometimes you feel helpless, you don't know what to do or how to help. But shortly after the shootings this morning, El Paso police tweeted saying that blood donation centers in the area urgently needed blood to help out those who were injured and being treated at the nearby hospitals. And people did just that. They lined up at donation centers in El Paso to donate their blood. And you can even see the man in this video handing out slices of pizza to those waiting in line to donate. Now, the community response was so overwhelming that donation centers had to start turning people away because they reached the max donation capacity.
It's somber. You hear some sniffling earlier as the updates were coming across the TV we have here in the waiting room. The line just continues and continues to grow. At this time, the blood center is no longer taking donations for today. They are at max capacity.
Now, the city of El Paso tweeted just after 6:30 this evening saying that they now have all the food and water they needed. They also thanked everyone for their donations. JR, Justine.
Thank you so much, Sanaz. President Trump tweeted, terrible shootings in El Paso, Texas. Reports are very bad, many killed. Working with state and local authorities and law enforcement, spoke to governor to pledge total support of federal government. God be with you all.
2020 presidential candidate Beto O'Rourke is from El Paso. He was on the campaign trail when he first heard the news about the shooting. He was visibly shaken and then used the opportunity to speak about demands for gun control.
Some initial reports was that it was a military-style weapon used or weapons used at Cielo Vista Mall. Keep that shit on the battlefield. Do not bring it into our communities. I don't want to see it in our malls or in our schools or in our churches or in our synagogues.
And California Senator Kamala Harris was at the same event as O'Rourke in Las Vegas. She spoke about the shooting as well.
Assault weapons are weapons of war. Be clear about this. Assault weapons are designed to kill a lot of people quickly. There is no reason that they should exist on the streets of a civil society.
And about 2 hours ago, a vigil for the victims just ended. It was being held at a Catholic church in El Paso, and people there gathered for a vigil to try and give each other comfort after this horrific shooting. And also it was a way for the families of the victims to not feel so alone. We will hear from all those who attended the vigil coming up on KRON4 News at 10.
Two federal law enforcement sources say investigators are reviewing an online statement posted days before the shooting that may speak to a motive. The online posting was believed to be written by the suspect, who's in custody, but that has not been confirmed. Spokespeople for both Facebook and Twitter say the platforms are working to prevent people from sharing the suspect's statement of beliefs and are removing posts from users that do so. Well, we have been keeping you up to date with all day with push alerts from the moment it happened to each new conference with police. You can be in the know by downloading our KRON4 News app. We will continue to bring you coverage of this story right here on KRON4 News at 8:30.
Now, this shooting in Texas hits home for us here in the Bay Area as it comes on the heels of the deadly Garlic Festival shooting in Gilroy. Just last Sunday, a gunman climbed a fence into the festival grounds where he then shot and killed 3 people. 16 others were injured. The coroner is now saying that the shooter did not die from police gunfire. He died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The chief of police says that the coroner's findings are just another part of what is a very long and ongoing investigation.
I don't think that changes anything about the heroics of our officers and engaging him. It really doesn't change anything in my mind.
Says that the coroner's report does not discredit the heroic efforts shown by the Gilroy Police Department. He says the area where the shooting happened is still an active crime scene and the investigation is ongoing. Now, as the community tries to heal, there is a strong showing today in Sunnyvale.
That's where KRON4's Philippe Gigal reports a car wash fundraiser was held in honor of the youngest victim killed in Sunday's shooting, Stephen Romero.
In Sunnyvale, Philippe Gigal, KRON4 News.
We have continuing coverage of the Garlic Festival shooting throughout this newscast. At 8:30, we will take a look at how vendors not being able to get their items back could now impact other events in the Bay Area. You can download our KRON4 app to get push alerts straight to your phone with updates on this story and all breaking news as soon as it happens. Dozens of people came together to honor the life of a Sacramento police officer killed in the line of duty. Officer Tara O'Sullivan was responding to a domestic disturbance when she was shot and killed in June. Martinez native was just a rookie. KRON4's Dan Thorne was at tonight's vigil in Martinez. He joins us live tonight with more. Dan?
Reporting live in Martinez, Dan Thorne, KRON4 News.
Thanks so much, Dan, and stay right here. Coming up at 8:30, we will bring you back to El Paso, Texas, where the Walmart shooting has left 20 people dead and another 26 injured. Hear from those trying to help amid the chaos.
And nearly a dozen fires breaking out earlier this morning, all in Contra Costa County. We have an update on the containment levels. Right now, firefighters are trying to bring nearly a dozen fires in Contra Costa County under control. They are being called the Marsh Complex Fire. A shelter in place has been issued for people living in the area. 655 acres have burned already, and the fire is now 75% contained. The incident originally started overnight around 3 a.m. Fire crews getting calls from multiple different fires around the counties, almost a dozen of them. Flames from those fires burning into each other, creating a 500-acre fire. At one point, it spanned between Morgan Territory Road all the way to Deer Valley Road. That's a 6-mile stretch between the cities of Clayton and Brentwood. When driving through Brentwood, a wall of smoke could be seen from miles away. Here's CAL FIRE Incident Commander Mark Marcucci this morning.
Right now, we're boxing it in. We try to put a box around the fire. The road itself is one side of the box. We have bulldozers coming across one side of it as well, and then our fire engines are hose laying up the steeper parts of it to try to get that in, being reinforced by our hand crews.
There was an evacuation order for a mobile home park that was just down the road, but that has now been lifted because the fire has moved away from that area. There is a shelter in place for any people along Marsh Creek Road. CAL FIRE told KRON4, even though it's warm out, today's weather was actually good for fire crews.
And we are now joined by Mabrisa Rodriguez, who has been closely tracking this situation.
So what was it about today's conditions that were in such good favor for firefighters to keep this fire under control?
Wind speeds. We saw wind gusts upwards of 20 miles per hour or less, so that's great news. Justina J.R., back to you.
Thank you so much, Mabrisa. Another big story that we're following tonight. The family of a Bay Area teenager held in Rome is speaking out. 19-year-old Finnegan Elder and his friend 18-year-old Gabriel Natali Yorth are accused of killing an Italian police officer in a drug deal gone bad in Rome. And Finnegan's father just returned from visiting his son in jail in Italy, and the Elder family just held a press conference outside of their San Francisco home. KRON4's Gail Ong is live there for us right now with details on what the family had to say. Gail?
We're live in San Francisco. Gail Ong, KRON4 News.
Thank you, Gail. We're also keeping an eye on the breaking news we brought you at the top of the hour. At 8:30, we will hear from those at the scene of the Walmart shooting in El Paso.
And with these shootings becoming more and more common, one company wants to make sure you have the option to send your kids to school extra prepared.
I talked to another guy that said he saw somebody shot in the head and another lady shot in the head, and her head was like blown away.
Back to our breaking news tonight. Police say 20 people are dead after a shooting inside of a busy El Paso, Texas shopping center. This attack also injured 26 other people, and the suspected gunman is in custody, and authorities are working right now to figure out a motive.
Yeah, Steve Nans has a closer look at the chaos that erupted inside the mall. And we want to warn you, some of the images here are disturbing.
I'm Steve Nannis reporting.
And we are already getting several witness accounts and stories about how people came together to help each other during this tragic event.
KRON4's Sanaz Tahirni is back now in our studio. And Sanaz, these are some of the moments we want to highlight during such a horrible and sad time.
That's absolutely right, JR and Justine. You know, mass shootings and disasters like this is tragic and as devastating as they are. It's also so inspiring to see and hear how it can bring the best out in people. Now, as you start the month of August, it is back to school season, and the mall was filled with families and children of all ages who were there to do some back to school shopping. We hear from one man who was inside the Walmart when he heard the first round of shots fired.
I see a whole bunch of kids just running around without their parents. So I put it up, and the only thing I think of is just pick up as many kids as I can as possible. And there was another guy doing it as well. I don't know where he went to, but there was another Hispanic guy with me. He did as well. And it was just, I could say maybe a total of like 13 kids running around, but I can only get 3. And I think he got about 3 as well, because I was just focused on the kids. I wasn't really worried about myself.
To the school where Walmart patrons were being bused to reconnect with their families.
It's tragic, and I think we have to stay strong for our city. And I think in a situation like this, you just ask yourself, how can I help? What can I do to help? And so the first thing we thought of was like, let's go to the school and let's see what we can do to be there, because it's a time where we all need to come together instead of being, separate.
Now, she says she came on her own because she knew volunteers would be needed to coordinate the site, and she wanted to help in any way that she could. JR, Justine, back to you.
Sanaz, and 2020 Democratic presidential candidate Beto O'Rourke said that he is now cutting a campaign swing through Nevada and California short so he can go to his hometown of El Paso, Texas, in the wake of this mass shooting. He was visibly shaken, and he announced his change of plans to reporters.
I'm incredibly saddened, and it is very hard to think about this. But I'll tell you, El Paso is the strongest place in the world. This community is going to come together. I'm going back there right now to be with my family and to be with my hometown.
Well, the San Francisco Police Department issued the following statement regarding the shooting, saying, quote, "We are deeply saddened by the tragic shooting in El Paso today. We stand by everyone affected by this incident and commend the bravery of El Paso residents, the El Paso Police Department, and allied agencies. We'd like the public to know that there are no known threats to the city of San Francisco at this time. However, uniformed San Francisco police officers will be conducting passing calls at all high-traffic corridors throughout the city," end quote.
And this shooting in Texas is happening just days after we had such a tragedy right here in the Bay Area, where 3 people died and 16 were injured in the Garlic Festival shooting in Gilroy.
Some good news, though. People can now get back their things from Christmas Hill Park, the scene of last weekend's deadly mass shooting. Many vendors at the Gilroy Garlic Festival left behind equipment, vehicles, and more after the attack. Felix Cortez reports.
A lot more work to get it taken down.
That was Felix Cortez reporting. People who need to be allowed access to the park must take a shuttle, and that shuttle will run on Sunday from 9 until 6.
And we have continuing coverage of the Garlic Festival shooting on our 24-hour streaming service called KRON4. You can also download our KRON4 app to get push alerts straight to your phone with updates on this story as we learn more.
From the Central Valley to the Bay Area, ahead at 8:45 in Flying Tales, we will take you on a life-saving flight for some dogs.
And here's a live look outside. August is in full swing in the Bay Area, especially along the coast and beaches. Details ahead on your microclimate Sunday forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
A cliff collapse kills 3 people along a beach in San Diego. What engineers are saying caused the cliff to give way.